They will let you pilot the small craft away from the dock. It's an awkward process at first. You never piloted a sailboat before, but after some trial and error, you managed to get the wind of the sails. We're at Sucia Island at last, setting course for the mainland. The island is not as remote as you imagined it, only 50 miles from the nearest Shaper settlement, 50 miles in 2 centuries. In but a day you arrive at the coastal settlement of Delame. There are a dozen Shapers there working to tame this wild coast populated with friendly fauna and make it a safe settlement. They eagerly greet you, curious about where you came from. You tell them. Find out you came from the Bard Island, they are worried. They insist that you come with them to the regional capital where you can answer for your actions. You tell them what happened to you. You tell them that you know great secrets and that the Geneforge has given you great power. You don't mention that the Geneforge has been destroyed. Maybe it'll be easier if they think that they too can have the power. They treat you like you are mad. They try to force you to come with them. Your changed appearance and your obvious power scares them. They try to control you. You start to get angry. They try to put shackles on you. You get angrier still. You feel the power rising in you. As the insects try to control you. For a brief time, you try simultaneously to resist them and to control the power. A tiny voice in your head tells you that something is not right. Then the changes wrought by the Geneforge silence that voice forever. You spread out your hands and the power flows out. The small settlement is no match for your rage. It is rubble within minutes. You use their library to learn secrets and their essence pools to regain your strength. Then you begin to form your army. You know the truth now, that what will happen. You know that they will never accept you, never accept the power. Fools, small-minded ones, they fear you. They will never let you have peace. The world is young, and there are many unsettled areas where you could create your own lands which you could benefit from your great wisdom, lands which could flourish under your total control. Wave of your hand, an army of fierce creations appears, then you set off into the woods. The Shaper Council soon hears of you, and your deeds, and your madness. They soon figure out where you were, what happened to you, and what your intentions are. They are very afraid. However, their envoys to Sucia Island soon find their greatest fears have been realized. Their canisters are all gone, the Geneforge lies in ruins, their secrets are gone, the only remaining beneficiary is you. After they slay the rest of the Shallowlie, they send agents and guardians after you. They all fail, crushed by your might. The Shaper Council soon realizes that you're too strong for them. You form your own nation in the wilderness, populated by creations, your creations, multitudes of them, sprung up under your power and will. They live under you, under your absolute control, as it should be. Your kingdom lasts as long as you live. You live for a very, very long time. Back on Sucia Island, that's what Serviles look like, by the way. The various Servile villages struggle to continue as best they could. When the histories of these turbulent times are written, they mention few details about the minor players in this great drama. The Valkyrie, Elra saw his people's chance in the tumult caused by the Shaper Wars. Your people were too distracted by the carnage to punish the upstart awakened. Elra led his people to the mainland and out into the unsettled lands. There the awakened founded New Valkyrie, insisted on dealing with the Shapers as equals. They had things to offer the Shapers in their war. Elra's Tinkers had learned well the Shaper arts, and their contributions were a pleasing help to the Shapers during their struggles. The awakened earned their independence through diplomacy and persistence and hard work. Their life in the wilderness was a difficult one, but considering the alternative, they never looked back. When the wars began, Rydell realized that he could wait no longer. Though he and his obeyers were supposed to wait on Sucia Island, he also knew that his creators were in trouble and needed help. With great difficulty and painful period of trial and error, the obeyers built boats. They returned to the mainland where they found a Shaper colony, explained their situation, and offered to help. Shapers of the colony were thankful for the additional forces, and yet unnerved by the strangely independent nature of the forces. They didn't bother to inform anyone of the authority of the arrival of the obeyers. Instead, they put Rydell Serviles to work, and when they could use them as frontline fighters in the battles against the attacking creations. By the time Rydell realized that his people were being ill-used, many of them had been sent away, many of them more had been killed. It made him very unhappy, but he believed deep in his heart that it was the will of the Shaper was best. The Shaper Wars began, and Norrell saw her chance. In their hearts, the Serviles of Kazg lusted for war with the Shapers, and they longed for revenge. With difficulty, they managed to return to the mainland. There they looked for opportunity to do battle with the Shaper forces. A long guerrilla campaign began. There were years of great hardship for Norrell and her people. The Shapers were distracted and weak, but still dangerous, and many of the takers died. They did not have the strength to make a real difference. Eventually their grief and fatigue overcame their hatred, and they went out into the wilderness. Norrell helped them start villages, plant crops, and start their lives over. There they lived blissfully forgotten for many, many years. The finest flowering of the powerful arts the Shapers took place on Sucia Island. The Shapers, however, could not control the power they created. They tried to harness it. They tried to hide it. They tried to forget it. Then it came back to haunt them. Eventually, the tumult caused by the rediscovery of the Geneforge died down, but the secrets of the potential were known. Even after it was gone, people knew that it could be. The story grows quiet, but it does not end. You cannot unring a bell. The end. And now I'm going to off-screen doing that again. This time I won't use the Geneforge, but I'll smash it, and then I'll start recording at the end sequence again, and we'll see what's different. So I'll be back in a bit. Okay guys, I found a servant mine back here. And I already talked to him once, but I ran into mines that I have now detonated. So, talk. Feed the servant mine with the food that we found earlier. Slowly tip the goo into the creature's mouth. When it tries to regain its strength, you clean and tend to its wounds as best you can. Eventually it returns to consciousness. It is weak and in great pain, but it can speak. Thank you, Shaper. Thank you for saving me. It's more than I deserve. I am Mine Strout, watcher of these docks. What is this? Small dock. Supplies were landed here. This is where supplies destined for the research halls were taken. Then everything was barred and closed. Now it is in ruin. There are guards watching their boat. Very dangerous guards. They are. Since I didn't use the Geneforge this time, I'm not as strong. Thing you can do to help me with the guards? Clearly, it wishes you hadn't asked. Yes, there is. I have no strength, but there is something I can do. Figure out how to mimic their speech and voices. I have enough energy left to be very loud. I think I can draw them away from the docks briefly. And you could sneak to the boat. And then you can get help, bring the Shapers back, and they can destroy the intruders. Sure. Do that. Okay, now we run. Now we run. Okay, I think I know how to do this. But this was not the correct way. I'm gonna have to go into combat mode and use a haste pod. Deacon, stop being a brat. Hey, what? What are you doing? I don't know if this is gonna work. They're pretty fast. I forgot just how fast they are. They were supposed to hide in there. And they go into the servants' mines room, and then we sneak past them. I'm just hoping they won't notice me, because a guard shouts an alarm. Run! Oh dear. You two hide. I don't think that's the right way. Hey guys. Hey, don't mind me. Pardon me. Just go into your boat. Don't mind me. Yes. Bye guys. this is the same. Neighbors know that Sucia Isle is barred, and that you were there. Their reaction is immediate. They seize and shackle you, they put you on a boat and take you to the Shaper Council. After a few weeks in a cell, the interrogation begins. They ask you, and you reveal every one of your actions on Sucia Isle. You tell them the Serviles, the Serviles, the colony, and the Geneforge. You tell them of Trajkov. You tell them about the outsider who was rapidly mastering the Shaper arts, and how, with great difficulty and risk, you slew him. You also wait in the cell for a few more weeks, and when they send a contingent of the agents to investigate the island, eventually they find that things were much as you said. The Shalai and Serviles who were tampering with the Shaper secrets are all slain. Kazg is razed to the ground, and the rest of the Shalai are brought to the council. The Shapers are impressed with your bravery and integrity. You are released from imprisonment, and you swear an oath to always keep the secret of what you found there. Sucia Island remains barred. The powerful knowledge hidden there remains secret for now. Long delayed, the diplomacy between the Shalai and the Shapers begin. The Shaper Council is impressed by how well the surviving Shalai resisted the temptation of the secrets. Your people and theirs begin a long and profitable relationship. As for you, you begin your apprenticeship at last. Organized training combined with the raw power you gained on Sucia Isle make you a shaper of renowned and incredible skill. Several major new colonies are established under your guidance. You are respected, but you are also feared. The Shapers never truly completely trust you. They are afraid of the effects of Sucia Island on you. The taint of the barred land never truly leaves you. You become powerful and influential and wealthy, and even one day you are the first Shaper to visit the lands of the Shalai. The highest levels of Shaper society are always close to you. Wherever you go, there are worried looks and whispers. You have a good life, a productive life, but you always wonder what might have been. Back on Sucia Island, various servile villages struggled to continue as best they could. When the histories of these turbulent times are written, they mention few details about the minor players. Elra saw that without the help of the Geneforge, his hopes for forging independence of his people were dwindling. Though he was, in his way, a rebel, he was a realist. The Shapers swarmed Sucia Island, horrified by the threat they had narrowly avoided. They searched the island looking for other dangerous secrets or hidden caches of old technology. When the Shapers arrived, Elroy, not wanting to force a confrontation, led his people into hiding. For months they hid in the woods and wastes, avoiding the Shapers as best they could. When the Shapers left and barred the island once again, they returned to Valkyrie. They continued to live and struggle, isolated and dreaming of independence. They remained hungry, poor, and constantly in danger, and free. The Shapers reached Sucia Isle and they found the Obeyers. First they were worried by these strange, rather independent creations. Then they met Rydell. In time the Shapers found how loyal the Obeyers had been, and under very difficult circumstances. It was a new experience for them. They were used to loyalty, but they'd never seen creatures who were loyal because they chose to be. The Obeyers were brought before the Shaper Council for careful examination. And they were given new roles. Serviles trained by Rydell and his people were placed in charge of other dumber Serviles. Their patient and loyal guidance provided a useful and human buffer between the Shapers and their creations. The Obeyers were loyal enough to be trusted, and kind enough to treat all creations of all sorts with empathy. When Rydell finally reached his deathbed, he looked back on his life with great satisfaction. He always felt relieved to be the one who saw his people be rewarded for their great labors. With the death of Norrell, that Shaper hands, the surviving Serviles of Kazg were overcome with mad rage. With difficulty they made boats, and over the following months returned to the mainland. They decided their vengeance had been delayed long enough. The war against the Shapers would begin at last. If it meant the death, that was fine, as long as it meant an end to the all-consuming hatred. On the mainland, they found Delame, a Shaper colony. They launched a fierce attack and soon found that they were completely outmatched. The tragic tale of the Serviles of Kaz came to a sudden end. Kazg, Valkyrie, and, Pentel and Valkyrie. Finest flowering are the powerful, you cannot unring a bell, the end. And I think that's going to be the canon ending. I think. This is the one where I wrecked the Geneforge, but didn't use it. Wonder what happens if I do not wreck it, but don't use it. Who knows? I'm pretty sure if I don't wreck it but use it, I start like a civil war of Super Shapers. Anyway, that's gonna be it for Geneforge, you guys. I hope you all really dug it. I've already got Geneforge 2 set up and ready to go, so be ready for that. You all take care, okay? I will talk to you all later on. Goodbye for now.